Hey friends, let's talk about January. I feel like this month has been something else. It has been such a heavy month and it felt like a long one too. Lots going on. I'm glad to see this one go by. So, I thought maybe we could start with books today. And I wanted to share some of the books that I have been working with. The first one would be Playing with Symbols. And this is the guidebook for my I Am the Artist deck. And I read most, with the exception of like the actual card descriptions, I read it um, cover to cover. There was a lot of fun information in here, things that you don't even think about. So it was really helpful and interesting for me to learn more about the background and the creation of the deck, and it was a lot of fun. So that's my Playing with Symbols book. This was gifted to me, and it is The Year of the Hermit by Tarot Diagnosis. And this was such an awesome surprise. I have really enjoyed working in this book. I take a few minutes, most of the time daily. Like, I don't like to let days go by without opening the book, but I found it to be really cool to work through. And I filmed a separate video about the book and the components and how it was set up. Um, but working with the book for the past month has been really cool. And I did have an aha moment when I was working with this book, but it was really cool. I find myself like, obviously what I decided to do was pull a card and then journal for the day. And I say journal, but really it's not. It's just like a really light entry. And then before you know it, I started like drawing in the book, doodling, adding stickers, changing up the pen and the ink. And it was just a lot of making notes to myself. And I've been using, of course, my little hermit. Look at the sparkle. So good. The only one I have. I do have a Carol Herzer deck, but I was not able to get the sparkle one, which was the one that I wanted so badly, but it just didn't work out that way. But this is a sample card, and it just turned out that it was the Hermit, and I thought it would be a perfect bookmark. But what I found was, as I was working in the book, I had, I don't know, an epiphany, an aha moment, an insight. And so I ended up journaling on a separate piece of paper and then like adding it into the book. I used washi tape to hold it in place in order to capture the reflection because it was a good one. It was a good one. So, after using this for a month, I would say that this was a great investment uh, in time, and I feel like I'm getting a lot out of it. So that is my Year of the Hermit book. This next book was recommended to me, and it's Indigenous Continent. It's a big one. It's a big one, and it's a heavy read, right? So I can only take it in smaller chunks. I'll like usually do like a chapter and then stop. But there are many chapters in here. It's set up in chronological order, so I'm up to about the mid 1600s right now. And you know it just speaks on the experience as colonization started to happen, and not just, the US, but also what would become Mexico, the Caribbean, Canada. So it's very, very interesting. It has a lot of um, information, and um, you know, it's a heavy read. It's a heavy read. I think I may have shared that I do have indigenous ties to the Taino people of the Caribbean. And, imagine my sadness reading the book and seeing that they were almost eliminated by chapter 3. I'm very sad that their story, ended so abruptly the way that it did. Chapter 3, when I look at this book, and there's 28 chapters. So that was that was that was a moment for me. So it's a book that I'm working on slowly but surely. And thank you, Desiree, for recommending this. It's been eye-opening. A new platform that I am planning on experimenting with is Discord. And there's a lot of mixed feelings about Discord out there in the community. Um, but I am going to be doing a tarot study. I believe it starts in March. And I'm very excited about doing it with a group. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and definitely a lot of learning and takeaways. And once I was in there, I was like, "Oh, this isn't so bad to me. It looks like Slack for those of you that may use that, in your work environment." Something really cool that I worked on this year that was unexpected, but certainly inspired, was a spread for the year of the snake. That is my first time building out an actual spread to share with the public. And it was a lot of fun building it and creating it and then sharing it. But then what I didn't realize was how cool it was going to be when people started actually using it and sharing the cards that they pulled. And that felt so good. It was so rewarding, and it was a lot of fun. And I feel like I would definitely do that again sometime, because I really enjoyed it. And really, that was all because I was looking for a spread. Surely there has to be something. I'm searching, searching. I couldn't find anything. And I was like, you know what? Just do your own, is the guidance that I received. Do your own. So I sat and I worked on it. And then once I started, like, I couldn't stop. I kept going, and it was like, it was so late. It was so late. But I completed it. I was really happy, and I felt like it read well. And it was a lot of fun. So thank you for everybody that joined in, and then sent pictures and videos of the cards and their readings and insights. That was a lot of fun. In terms of new purchases, I did end up adding one deck to my collection. And it's a deck that I'm not going to be working with just yet, but I went ahead and picked it up. And it's the Rosebud Tarot. It's still in its packaging. I'm not going to open this one just yet because I have plans for this one. I have big plans for this one. So yeah, I'm very excited. I like collage art, and this is going to be pretty cool. I'm planning on pairing this with an oracle deck, and I haven't received the oracle deck yet, but when I do, I'll put them together, and and you'll have to tell me what you think. But that was the deck that I added to my collection. I typically don't add a lot because I'm in culling mode, but that was one that I knew that I wanted to add because it I felt in my mind that it would be a perfect match to the Oracle deck. So that is the Rosebud Tarot. The other thing that I added was a new palm stone, and I'll show you. Look how pretty that is. This is chevron, amethyst chevron. It's so gorgeous. The colors are so deep. So yeah, I recently did a VR to Simply Hand, and we were talking about tarot and the chakras, and I showed the various palm stones that I use and the essential oils. And once I did that, I realized that I didn't have an amethyst palm. So I picked this one up and it's super cute. I love it. I did make a purchase for myself, and it's to add to my tools. And it's specifically for the purpose of sound healing, and it is a new drum, and I just love it. I will show you my baby. Isn't she pretty? She's beautiful. She's beautiful. This is deer, and I connected with it right away. And it's been a lot of fun exploring and playing, and I'll show you like the back. And she's just awesome. I got it. Um, it has the matching skin here, and she has a great sound, which I've discovered doesn't translate well to recordings or phone, but so good. Oh, she's so good. I love her. I added this to my collection mostly to help me with grounding, especially at the end of the night or on very heavy days. And what I have discovered is that I really like to drum and then hum with the drum. That's been a lot of fun. And I got it from a shop on Etsy, an indigenous shop. And I got the little, certificate of authenticity. Um, but yeah, it was made by someone from the Cherokee tribe, and I'm just beyond excited to have this in my collection. I really like sound healing, and I do have a regular practitioner that I love very much, but I haven't been in a really long time. And it's nice to have tools at home that I can use when I feel like I need it. And I use them not just for myself, but also for cleansing energy of my decks, my crystals, my home. um, it's just I just love it. So I'm happy to have the drum as part of my collection. I may have shared that this year my word of the year was wellness, and so this is something that I am trying to pay particular attention to. um, and I downloaded an app. It is called Finch. It is a self care app, and it's super cute and a lot of fun. So I have been exploring that for mental health. And if anyone else uses Finch, let me know. I would love to connect on the platform. But it's been a lot of fun and also eye opening, right? Because sometimes you think like you're okay, everything's fine, and then as you answer the prompts throughout the day, you realize you're not as good as you thought that you were. So I always say this: like awareness is key. It's very important to always check in with the self and see where you are, and take baby steps if you need to, and the app helps you formulate goals that meet you where you are. So I really love that, and it's been really helpful. And then I'm also like working on physical health too, right? Because I want to make sure to stay healthy, and that means a return to the walking pad. So, yes, I actually started just before the new year. I pulled it out again, and I've been actually quite good every other day, sometimes daily. Every once in a while, I'll have a lapse, and skip a day. But I have been trying to do that. They say it takes 3 weeks to build a habit. For some reason, like this time around, it felt very hard to do. It felt very hard to do. So, I'm still combating, still struggling to find motivation to continue doing it, but I know it's good for me. And, you know, I'm gonna keep at it. I've been able to do quite a bit of filming this month, and so let's see. I put out 7 videos, 30 shorts, and 5 lives. So that's a lot. That's a lot. It's been a heavy month, but so much fun. So much fun to do. And, I love filming, but I really love like the editing process. Lives are kind of nice because then you don't have to really worry about the editing piece as much. But when I don't do them, I miss them because I like the editing process. Still continuing to work with Canva for thumbnails. So that's always a creative outlet for me, right? That I have been enjoying. And it's been fun to go back and forth, not just lives on my channel, but lives on other people's channel. And I'm meeting so many people, and it's just been so great. This is exactly what I had hoped when I decided to restart the channel, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. Let's get into decks. So I'm gonna quickly show the 3 staples. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time because these are decks that I show practically like every month, but they're like these 3 decks are just the decks that just never leave my sight. This is the Sasarai Beetle. This deck lives on my work desk, and it just doesn't go away because I use this every week for readings. Um, and I mean, what can I say? It's amazing. It's amazing. So that's the Sasarai Beetle. The other deck that I have that never gets put away is one that I keep by my night table. And I call it like my hug deck. It's the deck that I um, pull from usually at the end of the night, and it is Tarot of Light. I love this. You can see that I have a card in here bookmarking the last card that I pulled, which was the Nine of Hearts. But I really like this deck. It's very soft. It's probably one of the only decks that I have that has a keyword. And so I do find that when I pull from this deck, there's always something to be learned. So I like playing with this deck and experimenting, and actually sometimes you think like, oh, what does that have to do with the actual meaning of the card? But there but there are correlations, and it does make a lot of sense. So this has been a great deck for me. This just lives on my night table and just never goes away. The other deck that I feel like is a deck that just never goes away is the one that I consider my soul deck, which is going to be Tarot of Mystical Moments. And I talk about this deck all the time. I love this deck and I love the art. And this deck allows me to connect with my subconscious in a completely different way than any other deck that is in my collection. And for that reason, I'm using this deck with the Hermit journal, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing. And then I'll just pull the card and look at the image and look at the artwork and explore, like if it's a card that I haven't pulled in a while, explore the imagery, explore the symbols. It's been a lot of fun. And so this is the deck that I am planning on using with the journal for the entire year, which I'm, here for because this is my soul deck. So why wouldn't I want to connect with this deck every single day? So that is Tarot of Mystical Moments. The next decks that I'm going to share are decks that were that I chose to be, the decks that I was going to work with for January. So this first one is an oracle, and it is Seeds from the Sacred Feminine. And this deck is just, it's gorgeous, with the exception of the backs. This deck is just beautiful. It's shiny, so I want to hold it so that, hopefully eliminate the glare. Oh, is it upside down? Sorry. Some of the cards have the title at the top and some have it at the bottom. But this deck is just so beautiful, so bright, so different. This artwork, it's just glorious. I loved using this deck and I look forward to continuing to use it on a regular basis. It's amazing. It's amazing. The other deck that I used quite a bit is my Illuminated Tarot. I always have to look at the title because I just call this my Carol deck, my Carol Herzer deck. But this is an RWS clone, so it reads amazing. I think I'm in love with this deck because of the colors and all the little stars that were added. And for the most part, I love most of the cards, the way that they were reimagined or recolored in this deck. There's just a few that I feel like, ooh, but for the most part, I just love them. Bright and colorful, a lot of blues, like blues and teals and purples. Like that's my jam. So I really love it. And this deck is, it's amazing because, first of all, it's a smaller size, which I purchased intentionally, this size. And it's very flexible and bendy. You see that? And this is the deck that I like to take with me on vacations and such, especially if I'm going to be around water, because I never have to worry about this deck, getting damaged. It's protected. It's not laminated, but it's laminated. I don't know how to describe it. It's not plastic, but it's plastic. Like it has a protective cover on it. And it's just so great and obviously reads amazing because, it's an RWS clone. So yeah, that is my Illuminated Tarot, my Carol Herzer deck. I love it. I used it a lot for readings this month, and it came in this super cool bag that I adore. This next deck, I filmed a video on because I just adore it. It is my Cemetery Oracle, and I talk about this all the time. It's a chunky, chunky monkey deck because I got the expanded edition of the deck, and I just love it. all of the art is based on cemetery statues or different things that you would see in a cemetery. And it's just a great deck full of insight. It's very well balanced. So it's great to read with. And there's so many cards. I decided to get the expanded edition, which ended up being 160 cards, but I just couldn't stop myself because I couldn't choose like, oh, like, oh, deck one or deck two. No, how about deck both? So I just got both of them, and I did a lot of work with this deck too because the creator made it possible for anyone purchasing the deck to go in and change any of the keywords that you wanted to change. So that's what I did. I went in and it took me like 2 days to go through everything. I changed a bunch of the keywords, reorganized. I changed the font, and in some places I moved the wording around just to kind of put it in a place that where it made most sense. But it's just a great deck. I love it, and I've been using it quite a bit. I used it for shorts this month, and they've been very popular. But I had have a few people that reached out and said that they missed my little creatures, which I used the creatures tarot for shorts the previous month. But don't worry, I'll bring those back. The other deck is the Earth Woman Tarot that I lovingly refer to as my Tarn Ellis deck. This is actually the deck that I'm going to be using for the deck study. But yeah, I mean, I have been working with this deck the past month. I've used it in live readings, and it reads really well. And even though it's, pretty well aligned to the RWS system, I've had some moments with this deck where I've been able to pull some interesting insights. As I'm reading for people. So it's been a great deck, and I'm really looking forward to the tarot study on this on this deck on Discord. So that is on Carrie's Mystical Musings. She's the one that is hosting it, and I'm really looking forward to it. So if anyone is kind of considering doing something similar, if you have the deck, or if you're just looking for that, sense of community, you know what? Why not join? It's gonna be awesome. So yeah, that is the Earth Woman Tarot. And this was meant to be the main deck of the month, but I did use quite a few decks this month. But this deck, I mean, I've had this deck for a while. I have been in love with this deck for a while. This is I Am the Artist, same creator as the Saki Saki. And I've been in love with this deck for a really long time, and I just had not used it. Um, that's upside down. And I hadn't used it, but I felt like this was one of those decks that even though I had never used it, I knew that I was gonna love it, and there was just no question about it. Uh, Not like sometimes where you see a deck and you love the artwork, and then you sit and you work with it and you realize it's not for you. That couldn't be further from the truth with this one. This deck, like, it was just awesome. It's been a great reader, and it's not a fan favorite. There's a lot of people that, don't really care for the art, but I do. I love it, and it's a lot of fun to work with. So yeah, I'm glad that I have this one. This is the I Am the Artist. A few decks that came out that I didn't plan for, but that's how life is. So first one is gonna be here, Mystic Mondays. I actually used this for my Year of the Snake spread, and I felt like the colors really lined up with the artwork that I put together for for the spread. And I knew when I did the spread that this was the deck that I wanted to use, which was interesting because this deck has been in purgatory for the longest time. I have not touched this deck in a really long time. And I pulled it out and it was so much fun. So much fun to work with this deck. So this is coming back out of purgatory. This is the reason why, like, don't get rid of the decks right away. Put them away for a little while. And then, if you miss them and use them and you feel like, then at least you still have it. And if you pull it out and revisit the deck and you still feel the same way, then you know that it's okay to get rid of. This deck was gifted to me and it was very lovingly edged, and I'll show you. My dear sweet friend Amy did this, and she edged each of the elements a different color. So we have 5 colors, one for all 4 elements plus, the majors, ether. So yeah, that is the Mystic Mondays Tarot. The other deck, and this happens to me a lot too. This is a deck that doesn't go away. This stays on my reading table in my bedroom always. It's the Shimmering Veil. This is not a deck that I go to all the time, but when I need it, it gives me what I need. It's just amazing. This is incredible art. This is incredible art, and this whole deck was, inspired, channeled. It's just glorious. I use this for deep spiritual questions, and it's amazing. It reads well, and it's the kind of deck where you pull and you can sit with the card and the art for a really long time. The book is well done. It's very clever, but that's how all of her decks are. This is by Sela Conway, and she's just fabulous. So yeah, this deck, I don't actually put it away. I keep it out on my reading table, and it did have to come out. It had to come out. It had to come out for readings. So there you have it. That's the Shimmering Veil. This is my Mother Mary Oracle. This deck is out of print. I love this deck. This was a deck that I picked up on Etsy. It was by Artrium. And I absolutely love this deck so much that I had another Mary deck and I ended up, releasing it and just keeping this one because it was just so amazing. So amazing. I love it. The only thing I wish is that this deck had more cards. That's the only thing that I wish. But it's so good. I love this deck so much, and it has a special place in my heart. I love to work with Mother Mary energy, and yeah, this deck is amazing for that. The last deck that I'll share that came out this month was the Sufi Tarot. And this is a deck that I had used last year or the year before. I can't remember. These are the card backs. It's based on Sufism. And I got it because I was wanting to learn more about other cultures and other spiritual practices, and it's a beautiful deck. I recently filmed a video with it and it was very cool. Great artwork, great insight. I love following the creator. She's always sharing little tidbits or nuggets on her socials with regard to the various, decisions that were made in the deck and the pieces of art. And like, oh, did you know this? And oh, did you know that? Like, she shared something really, really cool the other day. She was talking about the Ace of wands, which in this deck it's called staffs, and she said that it was based on uh, the staff of Moses, the prophet. That was the inspiration. So I thought that was super cool. And the other day she posted something about the world card and the aura. She was talking about how the swing and the Ouroboros, she was making that connection. But it's such a great deck and it's such a good reader. And yeah, I actually like I had this in my, explore pile. I have like three piles. I have like the decks that I use all the time, the decks that I'm on the fence about, and then purgatory decks. This was in the, I need to work with it a little bit more, but after I did that spread, it went straight into, the desk with all the other decks. I love this card. Look at that, all that tile work, so intricate and beautiful. Anywho, that's the Sufi tarot. So that's a lot of decks, you guys. I worked with a lot of decks, but when you're reading for others online, um, then I find that I tend to use a lot more of my decks more often, which is great because otherwise I wouldn't be able to use them as much. Um, you know, I'm not a person that like reads for myself every single day. I just don't. That's not part of my practice. But I have all these beautiful decks and I want to use them. And I find that doing the online readings is a perfect way for me to, not just practice and flex, my intuition. And also, it allows me to use all of the decks that I have and get to know them, and then make decisions too, because sometimes after a while I use a deck and I realize it's just not meant for me, and it's okay to let it go. So yeah, that has been the month. There's been so much going on. I don't know, I felt so much more excited for the year of the snake than I did for the actual new year. I am very much looking forward to all of the growth and insight that this year is going to provide. And I am looking forward to sharing that part of my journey with all of you. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.